Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's BDG Comics, and today I'm bringing you my June 22nd, 2022 comic book week in review. And I read 15 issues this week, and I'm going to rank them from number 15 to number 1 and tell you a little bit about them. Try not to be too spoilery, but at the same time, I might give some things away, but I won't give, too much away to where if you really were interested in a book, you would be spoiled by my review and then going to pick it up. You wouldn't feel like going into it, that I gave too much away for the content of the issue itself. So without further ado, and it's actually a book that I'm going to be dropping. Drop! We have X-Men, number 12. And here's my issue. So I am dropping this book. There's just way too many good comic books out right now for me to justify spending my money and my comic book budget on this. The art and the color is really good, but the story is just lacking. It's not for me, and I don't think it's very good. And I actually gave this a 3 out of 10, so that's pretty bad. And that is my number 15. All right, so my number 14... Amazing Spider-Man number 4 is my number 14, and I didn't think this book was very good. I really dug issue number 3. Issue number 4 just kind of went backwards for me. And this book is actually, if I had like on the fence, this is where I'm at, because if the next issue doesn't grab me, this book is going to be, in my drop list. So, in general, I think this issue was just boring, and I hate the art. John Romita Jr. just gotta go. It just didn't grab me, and the plot is kind of dropping off for me. I'm just not there. I don't know. Hopefully it gets better, and hopefully they really grab me in the next issue. But for me, this was my number 14, and I gave it a 4 out of 10. All right, and my number 13... is Batman the Knight number 6. This was probably the worst issue of this book for me so far. I really defended Chip Zdarsky and this book last issue when they had the bisexual Batman controversy that I kind of thought was nothing, but then you get this book and maybe it was something because I don't know, Bruce seems a little over emotional, I think, in this one. So like I said in my notes here, I defended it in the last one, but then in this issue you get Zdarsky writing to disarm everyone, talking about guns. So I don't like that. And then after they have like kind of a falling out a little bit, Bruce says, "My heart is shattered." So just weird for me. Chip Zdarsky, I think you're better than Jason Aaron. Don't stoop down to that level, and that's my number 13. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Mainly because there was some cool fighting and stuff like that. There was a cool fight scene, some good action, but generally not very good. I got Black Adam number 1. Now, I generally thought that I was going to pick this book up anyways. It was pretty good. Not amazing, but it was pretty good. It could be a really good series, but it's hard to catch the vibe of it that they threw in the first issue. It kind of like went from like this boring courtroom scene, which I actually did kind of like that part. The courtroom scene I think was the most interesting part out of all of it. You kind of get him out of character, or out of superhero character, and more like in character. I dug it. But then after that, it just kind of, it went sideways for me. The art, really solid. It's Rafa Sandoval. I can't say that enough. I mean, he's a good artist, so it's pretty good. I might pick up issue number 2, because it might, I think this might actually be like a 2-part key with a character in here. And, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Black Adam, so I don't know if this is a good representation of him. Actually, let me know in the comments below if you think this is a good representation of Black Adam, or if it's just them preparing for the movie that's coming out. I thought it was okay without really knowing anything about the character, but I did feel a little like excluded. So while I do think it was decent, it wasn't like a great starter issue for somebody who doesn't know anything about Black Adam. Overall, it was pretty good. I got that one at number 12. Yeah, number 12. And I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. All right, and my number 11. Nightwing number 93. It's not a bad issue. Definitely nothing special. Same kind of thing that they've been doing over and over, and now I'm just kind of getting sick of it. They're not really progressing any kind of main plot here. It's just kind of rehashing a new plot for the issue. I swear these are almost like standalone little issues, which is kind of cool because it kind of reminds you of like old school stuff. But at least those kind of had like a continuing story, or maybe they do like a 2-part little mini arc or something like that. But these generally are just like they're not cohesive together, which is weird because it's the same writer. So I don't understand. Again, though, Bruno Redondo's art is incredible, and look at that cover. I mean, that's gorgeous. I love it. But I'm iffy on the whole plot of this particular issue because they go through this like every cop is bad thing. Of course, that's like in the mainstream news these days is the whole all cops are bad or something like that. But there's a part in here where every cop in Bloodhaven is, you know, bad. Basically bad apples, they're all corrupt. But is every single cop going to be bad? Come on. It was okay. I just kind of, like I said, I kind of just wish the plot would, I don't know the word, congeal and go somewhere in the future. It seems like they're just kind of spinning wheels, maybe waiting for something to stick. I'm not sure. All right, and that was my honorable mentions, as well as my one book that I am dropping. So now we're going to get to our top 10. And at number 10, I have Maestro, number 4. Pretty good book. I think this is a penultimate issue. I think they were doing 5. There was a really crazy kind of moment in here, but also confusing at the same time. Leonard, who is Namor's son, I believe, just pushes his mom off of like, what's it called? Can't remember what his name is. The big monster, the big shark monster. Imperious Rex or something like that is what they called him. But Leonard just like shoves his mom off of the top of the shark, and she crashes down into a crater. But then like in 3 or 4 panels later, you just kind of see her chilling with them again on top of Imperious Rex. I think this was Imperious Rex. But either way, like it's just weird. Like they didn't explain it, and I think it was a mistake, to be honest with you. But either way, that's not really a big deal because the character kind of isn't important, at least so far. You get like basically in this they get setting up to where Abomination and Maestro are like a protag duo, which is kind of weird to see Abomination as a protagonist, but it's cool. You get some pretty sweet Doctor Doom, like old man Doctor Doom moments, and other than that, like there's some confusing bits in here, but this would have probably gone higher if that hadn't happened, because I still, looking back, like I had to reread it. The beginning, not the beginning, but I guess it was a couple pages in where it happened. And I reread it a few times, and I still couldn't figure out what actually happened. So I'm excited for the final book, though, to wrap it up. Like I said, this is the penultimate issue. There should be one more. And that was my number 10, and I gave it a 7 out of 10. All right, and my number 9. Cowboy Bebop number 4. Really good. This is actually, it's only number 4, but this wraps up the first arc of this. I don't know how much they plan on doing, or if they're going to even do more. Maybe they did one arc to see kind of where sales were and then go from there. But this was a good conclusion to the first arc of, you know, Cowboy Bebop in American comics. At the end of the day, the crew is kind of back at square one to where they started. They lost their bounty, and the issue as a whole is kind of melodramatic and somber, and it has a very bluesy vibe, just like the show. So that's kind of what I really dug about it. If you've seen Cowboy Bebop, there's a lot of struggles for the crew, and that's kind of one of the leading elements of, you know, their relationships with each other. And yeah, it's a solid tribute, I think. Solid 4-part comic book tribute to Cowboy Bebop. And like I said, I have that at number 9 this week, which is crazy because even with my bias, like, I feel like this should have been higher. But I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. It was a good final issue. I think it started off really strong with issues 1 and 2, and then issue 3 took a big dip, and then issue 4 kind of brought it back a little bit and reined in that Cowboy Bebop experience. So that was pretty cool. That was my number 9. And at number 8, Silver Surfer, number 5. This is a miniseries finale from Ron Mars and Ron Lim. Solid conclusion. You get a lot of action in here with Tyrant and Thanos and Silver Surfer. It's a very classic feeling, nostalgia heavy miniseries, and it's just great stuff in general. I mean, I would recommend a collected edition of this for sure, and I can't wait to see what's up next with the Team Rons, and I gave that an 8 out of 10. All right, so coming in at number 7. Bloodstained Teeth, number 3. And I got this very cool variant cover. And actually, that was one of the main reasons I actually picked up this issue, because I had planned on dropping this, but I saw this issue, this cover art, and I was like, ooh, that's almost a cover buy, and I'm still curious about what's going on in the story, so I'll pick it up, and I gotta say, they hooked me. This was the best issue of the 3, in my opinion. And like I said in my notes here, I said, damn, I had to go and give Bloodstained Teeth another shot. This issue was by far the best. Art's outstanding, yet still overshadowed by the incredible coloring in the book. The plot moved really nicely in this one, and there was some really strong action. And I think in the first 2 issues, our main character, he kind of was just a punk. He was kind of a little punk-ass bitch, I'm gonna be honest. And then in this one, he wasn't. He was cool. And kind of an alpha, you know? Like, in this, I just really liked it. They really did some cool things with him. And there's a strong cliffhanger at the end. And like I said, they got me now. I'm going with it. I really enjoyed this. I gave this an 8 out of 10. And this was my number 7. And at number 6, which I can't believe this book didn't make my top 5 because I really enjoyed it. Beware the Eye of Odin, number 1. Thought this was a really fun book. It had really fun art, really vibrant and cartoony, but not overly cartoony. The scenery and the background images and like the locations, just the backgrounds, they just pop and they're really cool. The characters I think are interesting. There's even one character in here that I think some people are hating on. They're saying she's like mentally ill. She's kind of deranged a little bit, but I kind of like it. She's kind of got like this like psychotic break aspect to her, and I think she's fun. She reminds me of a more, I don't know, I want to say like Harley Quinn type of character where she's kind of psychotic a little bit, but she's more real, and she's not as like, I don't murderous, I guess. I don't know. But I like it. Seems, I would say it's almost like it's D&D basically. It's Viking inspired D&D. The main character kind of reminds me a little bit of Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon. He kind of reminds me of that character. But in general, it seems like it's a good introductory for what could be like an aloof but fantastical and a little bit brutal but not overly gory kind of series. Really cool stuff for me. And that is my number 8. Or I gave that an 8 out of 10, and that's my number 5. So now we are going to move into top 5. And at number 5, I have Heavy Metal Drummer, number 5. I was waiting a long time for this book. I feel like it's been a pretty long time since we got issue number 4. This book's just crazy, and the series is even crazier as a whole. It's balls to the wall. The plot moves like a semi-truck on an icy interstate road. There's tons of action, and now we're bringing in some more heartfelt moments here because you have our main character, and now you're bringing his grandma into the mix of the main plot. There's only one more issue to go, and I'm really, really curious to see how they're going to wrap this little book up. Very, very wild stuff, and I think I say it on every issue, or every time I review one of these issues. It reminds me of like Super Jail, which if you haven't seen Super Jail, go check it out. Really cool show that they used to have on Adult Swim. But it's good. It's just good, and it's me. Like it, I love metal, and I love crazy artwork like this. Very like psychedelic and monstrous and kind of gruesome, but I don't know. I like it. I don't know what else to say. All right, and at number 4. Oh, I gave that 8.5 out of 10, by the way. And number 4, I have New Fantastic Four, number 1. So I hadn't read the original New Fantastic Four arc, and now I'm intrigued to. I actually really want to read that. This was cool and felt classic, yet somehow it was full of energy, and I don't know if the characters were like ever used again after the original arc. I think it's from like 1990 or something like that. It was like 3 or 4 issues of one of the old Fantastic Four runs, early 90s. But I don't know if they ever used this team again. And I think because it's actually still new, not new as in time-wise, but new as in amount of content-wise, it still feels fresh and energetic, like there's a lot of life and there's a lot of things to do. So it definitely hit like an early 90s vibe with the way the book was written, the pacing and the action and the kind of internal conflicts in the issue itself. Just raises like a classic comic book trope vibe. Pretty cool stuff. Great art. Colors were awesome. There was really awesome quips and one-liners between the characters, and I definitely can't wait to see where this super group is headed. And I gave that a 9 out of 10, and that was my number 4. All right, so now we're moving into our top 3, and at number 3, Samurai Sonia, number 1. Wow, what a way for me, at least, to drop Immortal Red Sonja and just immediately replace it with another alternative Sonja book, because this one was really good. I loved the first issue of Immortal Red Sonja. The second issue was weaker, and then the third issue was way weaker. But this one was better than the first issue of Immortal Red Sonja by a long shot. The art in here is actually incredible. And when's the last time the art for like a Red Sonja book has been like incredible, right? This is it. Definitely dug the first issue. Generally, I really like feudal Japan and kind of samurai stuff anyways. Like I said, I think the art was outstanding, and the lore setup was interesting, with Sonja being I can't remember her name, the like goddess lady, Amaterasu. I think that was her name, Amaterasu. So Sonja is like elected to be Amaterasu's champion, basically, and her armor looks badass. I'm just 100% on board for this. I love samurai stuff. Samurais over ninjas all day long, and this was just a cool book. So I'm not sure about the villain at the end. I think that's the one they mentioned earlier in the book. But either way, cool cliffhanger of the villain at the end. And it kind of reminds me, the villain it does, it kind of reminds me of like feudal Japan Hellboy. Like just the way he looks. Pretty cool stuff. And I gave Samurai Sonja a 9 out of 10. And it was my number 3. All right, and my number 2 was, you guess, World's Finest. Number 4? Yeah, number 4. What a crazy book. I did not expect this, but I love it. So basically, what we have here is if Justice League was a shonen. That's basically this book. Everything about it just is kind of balls to the walls. Action anime for, you know, young adults, young boys, the shonen genre. Like basically you have Gundam Wing, Dragon Ball Z, and Inuyasha all wrapped up with a Batman, Superman, Green Lantern skin on top of it. It was just wild and crazy, and I loved it. I don't really have too much to say. Mark Waid and Dan Mora are kind of goated for this issue, at least. And that was a 9.5 out of 10. I don't want to give away too much, so that's all I'm going to say. Go buy this book. It's really, really good. And my pick of the week... Rogue Sun, number 5. If you're not reading this book, just go read it. It's really, it's so good. This was by far the best issue of Rogue Sun, and I loved all of the other ones. So I don't know how much I can really, praise it for. Like, basically, I care. I really, really care now about the main character and his family and all that. Like, it's just so good. And they really have done a great job to turn Dylan in issue 1 and issue 2 from this, like, just asshole, spoiled punk teenager into someone you really, like, emotionally connect with, I guess. He is awesome, and I feel for him and his family and his mom, and she is a villain, but at the same time, like, is it justified? I mean, it's just really cool. I would definitely, if you haven't read this, I would wait for a trade, I guess. This actually would read really good collected. As a, I don't know, I would assume they're going to do a 6-part trade or something like that. But, man, this series is really starting to heat up. Sorry, I'm lame. So art's still just as great as it has been pretty much throughout the other 4 issues. And this issue just really packed a punch with plot progression, great lore stuff. There's like flashback scenes, and it's all really good. There's great character development. It's just gorgeous and near comic book perfection. I really almost gave this a 10 out of 10. So that was my number 1 and my pick of the week, and I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. So make sure to like and comment and subscribe, and until next time.